The theory of the firm is a theory which explains why firms exist. So, what is a firm? They are business entities that exist to make decisions to maximize profits. Firms interact with the market to determine pricing and demand, and then allocate resources according to models that look to maximize net profits. In this picture, you can see a market where prices can be affected by the yield of each harvest, and how farms try to maximize yields. An example is Tomcat Ranch, where they use planned grazing to increase cattle size and reduce costs, thus maximizing net profits. The following is an excerpt video.
So, getting to beef business, why do we want to tell that to our neighbors down over there? So there's a 6,000 acre ranch. You can't, with it further hills back, but he doesn't do this moving the herd everyday thing. And he's not seeing the kind of grass that we do. If you see his side of the fence line and our side of the fence line, we're growing a ton more grass, which means that we could put a ton more cows over here. Which means when it comes to slaughter season, we're probably 30% up from what he could produce, in a same kind of acre. And guess what? We don't have a hay bill. And guess what? He has a huge hay bill. So if you start to do pretty basic math around our costs are down and our profits are up, granted our thing is just a demonstration scale, but other folks around the world who do this kind of grazing like we do, which we call regenerative grazing or conservation grazing or holistic management or planned grazing,
Transactional cost theory postulated by Ronald Coase explains how firms can choose to allocate resources. Firms can decide if it's cheaper to buy or produce internally. They reduce transactional costs by making products internally once a certain scale is reached. Thus, according to this theory, a comparatively large firm will have fewer transactions costs. This will ultimately reduce the cost of doing business. Another way that firms could maximize profit is through business integration. There are two forms of business integration: vertical and horizontal. Vertical integration, where the supply chain of a company is owned or bought over. An example is Oracle buying Sun Microsystems, where Oracle, a software company, buys a hardware company. And also, another example is the cattle farm producing their own feed at Tomcat Ranch. Horizontal integration is the making of related products with current expertise through internal expansion or takeovers. Volkswagen, a car maker, buying Navistar, which is a truck maker. Both of them have similar supply chains. Heinz and Kraft food merger. Both of them produce processed food, and they share the same market and have similar suppliers. Richard M. Syed and James G. March studied behavioral theory of the firm and understood that not all of them made decisions to maximize profits. So, why is that so? Stakeholders such as owners, managers, workers, and suppliers have different amount of information and priorities, leading to conflict, as you can see in the picture. The manager is trying to piece out, and the workers are trying to angle for their positions. Satisficing behavior, in which workers settling for a good enough achievement rather than striving for maximum profit, is another reason why firms make decisions which not always maximize profits. The lack of information across the management chain during decision-making process can also lead to poor decisions by the firm. From a managerial approach, Armand Elkian and Harold Dempsey elaborates on how team production increases efficiency in a firm. Extra output will be generated through certain team productions. However, it is also impossible to distinguish which employees are shirking by viewing only the output. As you see, the guy on the right is sleeping and the guy on the left is hard at work. But through looking at the output of the firm, you are unable to determine which guy was the high performance guy. So, the way to fix this is to have managers to be hired to monitor workers' production and incentivize high performance workers. According to Adam Smith, 3 factors explain increased productivity from specialization and division of labor. Firstly, workers get more productive via repetition. Secondly, workers do not have to switch tasks, thus saving time. And lastly, it encourages technical innovations. Look at the example in the picture. This is inside a Toyota plant where the technicians are making cars very efficiently. So, what is the big picture? Why business operate the way they do? Understanding the difference in monopolistic and free market types of markets will enable you to understand why firms operate the way they do. In addition, firms are also looking to provide value for consumers, and government regulations or incentives can also affect production processes. Regulations can in turn protect or harm consumers, and they will all affect businesses and the way they operate. In conclusion, the theory of the firm is an economic theory where it helps to educate firms on how to make intelligent choices by maximizing profits. Behaviour theory of the firm studies why firms do not always make the decisions which maximize profits. And lastly, we understand why business operate the way they do. So that's all. Thank you very much.